Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to get back into a saw I've not really touched in over a year. I tried to get it out just a short while back and kind of act like it was lean, like it might have had an air leak or some carb trouble. So with that said, let's get into this thing and have a look. Alright guys, what we've got here is my Farmertec. It's not a Hozfforma, but they're basically the same thing. Same place sells them G395xp. If you've been around the channel for a while, you probably remember the build on this, although it's been quite a while, over a couple of years ago now. Let's get this air filter off. I'd already loosened it some enough, evidently, before I turned the camera on, so got that out of the way. It's set over there on the bottom of a shelf, probably for over a year. I honestly forgot I even had the damn thing. Till I was getting out some saws and looking at them when looks like the bar plates fell off of it somewhere. I'll have to locate that. I think the last time I ran this saw, we were doing the tornado cleanup and I broke the handlebar, and it's got a brand new highway handlebar on it, which was like 25 or 30 bucks. And there was one of the three of those that were kind of tight. That's a common issue. If you know anybody that runs 394s, 395s on a regular basis, and I've talked to lots of people that you have to keep the bolts tied on them. They do vibrate loose. The first one I got here to work on, it's been well over 2 years now. The cylinder bolts had actually vibrated loose on it. Don't know how it hadn't had a failure, developed an air leak. It was actually running well, but the cylinder bolts had vibrated completely out of that thing. So when we went back together, we Loctited those in. Let's have a discussion here on compression. It's a touchy subject. We all know that. Everyone has their own myths or thoughts about it. In most applications on a chainsaw it does help, but there's some applications where it may not. But in most of the things we do here it does. But what I'm getting at is on this particular build, I think it's a little much. I remembered checking it like right after it was built, and dry cranking compression was over 250 psi. We got a good dark chocolatey looking color on the plug, so what time I'd put on it, my tune-up was good, but I'd left the exhaust roof on this thing kind of low, and the combustion chamber on it is cut. It is cut a lot. The saw would just go to kind of acting funny after like a handful of big long cuts back to back. If you were in some pretty good sized hard wood, or any wood rather, it would get so hot. And this is actually the second muffler I had to put on this. The original muffler, the insides of it kind of vibrated apart and fell apart. I think that muffler was from the Duke that I have on it now, but what I done was took the deflector off of the original muffler and put on this muffler that already has a pipe in it from the factory, I guess, or whoever made it. So it's got a 395 deflector on it, and the hole is opened up behind it almost as big as that deflector. So it wasn't a fact that the gases were not getting out. I think the saw has too much compression. I think it has enough. We can give up some of that and zip the thing up a little bit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Where we're at after 10 pulls. Holy crap guys, if you can see that, we're dang near 270 psi there. That is a little much. I can start almost anything. 100cc saws. My 880 is probably right up there with this. It probably don't have that kind of compression, but I'm just going to show you the end of this just to show that I didn't pump it full of oil off camera. I've seen people do that. It's not the accurate way to check compression. You can see it is bone dry. Now if you have one and the rings are like worn slam out on it, and you're putting a little oil in it just to see if it'll pump up, that's different. Or if you've got something that's been sitting for years and you put a little tranny fluid acetone in there, or Marvel's Mystery Oil or something, just try to get things to free up. So if you think the rings are stuck a little, that's different, but don't pump cylinder full of oil and check compression, and that's a false number, guys. Alright, yeah. Let's see if I can get this apart without getting in the way of the camera, but that's what we're going to do here today. I think we're just going to pull the carb tract off, muffler off of it, maybe check the port map on it, and kind of go from there. I guess get in there and get the intake bead off. So we'll just pull the carb off. Generally, if I was pulling this apart just to disassemble, we would just unhook the linkage, unhook the fuel lines, and set it all out in one assembly is usually the easiest way to do that. And we got another right there. But I think that's just a little overkill. Some people might not agree. They might shoot for compression that high, although I don't really know of anyone that does. Maybe on a full-blown race application and you're on a high exhaust roof and have that kind of compression, you would probably need a custom cylinder head. We're going to get into some custom cylinder heads, but I don't think it's going to be on anything like this. But the fuel lines are on good. Farmertec lines come a long way from what they used to be. And yeah, we got good tank pressure. She's pumping it out. That screw might be a little big. I should have grabbed a 200T case bolt. I'm working on 200T at the moment, waiting on a piston. So I've got a little tray over there with some 200T case bolts and cylinder bolts in it. And for our linkage, pretty easy, just like basically just about like a 372. And I rock it up and get that cable out. I know you can't see anything from my hand in the way. Choke linkage. Something's really common to screw up on these. Is the this one's already loose. The detent for the choke, that one's not bad. All of this stuff will vibrate loose. You'll lose the rod out of it. It causes a mess, but that one seems to still be okay. We'll check, make sure everything's tight before we put the saw back together. Okay, so let's pull this clutch off. Put your gun in forward, and it doesn't hurt anything to use an impact to do this either. Right off, I got to get some of the craziest comments and just craziest things said when they see you using an impact on something. It's about mind-blowing. But we're going to get to the muffler next. I hope I have the right socket here for that laying. Got too much stuff laying around. It may be a problem, may not be a problem, but those might not be 10 mm. I thought they were 10 millimeter. I suppose not. Let's see, guys. Probably one that's missing off that set. That's how things usually go around here. It's whatever that is. Hopefully we got a ratchet laying here. I need to clean this new building up. It's not bad, but it's starting to get a little bit of a mess. It went much faster with that impact. Oh. I'd about rather pull it apart by hand anyway. We went over that in videos. I rarely put one back together with an impact anymore. Maybe one of the smaller ones like this that doesn't. This one's still pretty strong, but I've got a 12 volt 1/4 inch. It's not real powerful, but it still claims to put out 22 foot-pounds. This one will snap things in two. It's 12 volt, but it's super powerful for what it is. I'm pretty sure it's one of the. Pretty sure I need to pull this, at least this top screw out of the felling spike. I could be wrong. I'm not sure of it. Let's just loosen the bottom one because we can. Wow, it's a little chewed up for some reason. I wonder what happened there. Yeah, she's a little chewed up, not looking real healthy. I'll have to look into that and inspect that. But anyway, I think we can get the muffler on off. And I know I put my hands in the way. You just have to deal with it. So we're just going to get this muffler off, and we don't need to take that one. Alright, that muffler should be ready to come off there. Just pull it straight out, like so. I would have swore this thing was supposed to have a heat shield, maybe not. It does, it's there, okay. Alright, gasket's still intact. Not looking too bad. And this thing smells like grease gas. I was running grease gas in it because of the compression being so high. And it looks like everything inside of there is looking good. I might put a little more light on the subject for you guys. How'd that do? That'll help any? I see shiny stuff. Maybe. From what I can see, it all still looks good. With that much compression, you can almost about guarantee that things are going to be good anyway. Alright guys, let's map it out. See what we've got. I about remember where it was at. We're going to start by zeroing out our degree finder, 10th thou feeler gauge. I think by now most of you that have followed me kind of understand how I do this. If not, maybe we can make a separate video and go over it, but just how I do it. You'll see other people do it differently. I've seen a few other guys that do something similar, but we carried that out against the feeler gauge. Go all the way around, get that reading. Well, she's pretty healthy. 162, so we're going to set that at 81. Like I said, this thing had a ton of machine work. I'm willing to bet the intake floor was not touched. There's 81. And we're zeroed out. I should get 81. Right smack dab on 81 opening. So it's that simple. Get your total duration from open to shut. You know, you can eyeball it, use the feeler gauge, some welding wire. Although I do recommend if you're using a 30 thou welding wire to take and grind some of it down to where it's just a little bit thinner. I think 30 thousandths is a little too much. You'll get a little different reading. It's not going to be much, but it will be a degree, degree and a half, which ain't going to make or break it, but if you're trying to stretch one out, it might, if it makes sense. Holy crap, 105. 105 reef on a 94cc saw. I knew I left it low, but I was planning on maybe putting it in a mill, but with the issues I had with the saw, the first issue, the muffler had vibrated apart and I broke the handlebar and seemed like something was up with the clutch on it. After you made a few cuts on a big piece of wood, you'd have to retune the saw, and then when you shut it off and it cooled off, it was back rich. It was just, and that was running it on race gas, and it's running the stock Farmertec ignition timing on it. It's not been altered, just basically straight up and down on the keyway how you would assemble it. So we got 81, 105. I swear, I bet when I looked at the intake, it's not been touched. These have kind of like a quad port design. And knowing me, I would have set them all evenly. Wow, that one's like 129. Looks like they're all set about 129, 130 all around. Yeah, we'll just have to see, and I broke that one loose already and feels like I did. At least blue Loctite loose, so I can feel it coming out. And then we'll probably wrap this one up, and in the next video so I might have to order a base gasket. I don't really want to make one. I know I don't have one here. Maybe. We'll just have to look around and see. I don't like how that failed at all. Hope it's just Loctite. See, this saw would get pretty hot while running. And it's not that it was, like I say, there's videos on the channel, you can watch it. So I'm not saying it was like slow, I said that before, that it wasn't fast, but I feel we can raise the exhaust reef on it. It's about what I'm getting at here, I guess. And looking like we might be able to tickle the uppers a little bit too. We'll just have to see. I don't know why I would have left the transfer timing that long on it. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but kind of going a different route, I guess. I bought a brand new 661 to do long bar work with, mill work. I gave up trying to mill with Chinese saws about a year ago. And you know, I think I may have said it earlier, if you mill with one, use it for extreme use and it's doing good, you're having better luck than I was. Right. I almost forgot. I guess a little M4 hex bit on the little impact would have yanked this thing apart a lot faster. But oh well. Wow. Let's see if we can take this piece of Delaware, and I can never find a rubber mallet. There we go, I think it's loose. I was kind of whacking against the exhaust port there. Yeah, we're loose. I don't think there should be anything holding that. The throttle cable maybe. Yep. Alright. If you're not messed with one of these, the rear cylinder bolts are pretty daggone long. I'm pretty sure, thinking about it, I have a couple of these gaskets over there. If not, that one, a little bit of glue, it'll be just fine. Visually inspecting the piston, you know, and take note, this thing's had several tanks ran on it. And the front of the piston all looks good. wash pattern. What wash pattern? That's kind of how they're all going to look after they've had a few tanks of fuel ran through them. That heck job. What movie was that from? If you kids, you'll know. I like watching movies like that anyway. And that's that time of year. Merry Christmas, guys. Yeah, it looks like I didn't change the timing in the intake at all. Just kind of done my thing with it, and it still looks pretty good. I might have touched lower a little bit. Not much. Still looking pretty slick compared to everything else. And I've not wiped it yet either. There's some we wiped out, but and they say polishing doesn't do anything. You'll hear people say that, but I don't know. I guess those of us that do it are, I guess, wasting our freaking time. Looking at it, I might have raised it some. Not a lot, if any. It looks pretty flat compared to what it would have been, but I just have to look back at some old notes on that, which I probably won't. Alright guys, we'll wrap this one up. Next video we'll get into some more of the details of what I'm going to do and why. We may even do some live port work. We're going to do a report. I don't think I'll touch the intake port. We might widen it a little bit. It doesn't look like it was widened any at all. There's a couple other little things we can do with it, but 94cc saw, even if it's a work saw, 162 total duration is not that bad. On a quad port, it'll be just fine. There's some saws that I would not do that on, but for this situation, it'll be just fine. We'll redo the exhaust port, maybe widen it a little more, play with the uppers some more, may do a few other little things. So you guys stay tuned, look forward to that. It'll be after the holiday before you see that, but I'll try to get this one out just right beforehand. Merry Christmas, and if I don't make another long video before the New Year, Happy New Year, and hope y'all stay warm, stay safe, and have a good day.